Larry Holder of the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com joins us once again to talk some Saints defense. 2 open OTA sessions down. Larry, your early impressions of defensive coordinator Rob Ryan.
I think people, specifically defensive personnel, even Sean Payton has got to feel a little more confident with what you're seeing. I go back to probably the first play of team drills in last Thursday's OTA session, and Curtis Lofton comes right up the gut for a blitz. Drew Brees doesn't know what's hitting him, and it's something that he didn't do probably at all with Steve Spagnuolo's scheme. But then you saw later on in that practice, there was a couple of breakdowns. They're still trying to learn this defense, but I think players feel like that they're going to pick up this scheme much faster than they did with Steve Spagnuolo's, because you could argue no one really picked up the scheme fully, maybe except for 2 or 3 players at all last season with the defensive trouble. So
sure.
A little simpler and yet completely different with a 3-4 scheme, and they're still trying to figure out who fits where and when and how and all these other questions we don't have answers to yet.
And on that note, the players also spoke about the flexibility of Ryan's scheme and what ways can that be a positive for a defense that was historically bad last year?
Well, they certainly need to change something up, and they're shifting players around. We've seen Will Smith. He now has a new position coach. Joe Vitt is his position coach. Junior Gillette, same thing. They're moving those guys at linebackers, moving Martez Wilson back to linebacker. You're even seeing someone like Kenny Vaccaro. They're shoving him in as many different teams as they can. First team, second team, third team. He's defending tight ends. You're also seeing cornerbacks moved all over the place so far. As far as on the depth chart, they're just trying to get all the right pieces in there. So, but it's different. I mean, you're trying to use a lot of the pieces you had last year that played a 4-3 defense, and you're trying to put them into a 3-4. So, flexibility, they have it, but the right pieces for the flexible defense is something we still need to find out.
Some moving parts, changing parts, new aspects. Always fun, always exciting. But, hey, let's talk about the old veterans. Will Smith, Jonathan Vilma, Roman Harper, all veteran players who took pay cuts to remain with this Saints franchise. Do you see them still playing key and productive roles on the field this fall?
I think it's going to depend, but from the early goings, to me, it looks positive. Jonathan Vilma, just through 2 practices that we've seen, he looks fresh. He didn't actually go a couple weeks ago, but he did practice the one we saw last Thursday, and he's in that middle linebacker spot. Will Smith, they're trying to move him to the outside. They would like to see him win that job and be a pass rusher. Sean Payton likes to say it's still similar to what he did as defensive end, but they definitely want to see that. And Roman Harper, for him, it's that this whole new contract is about security this year. I mean, is he secure next year? We don't know, but they would like to see him fit into this defense. Could he? Absolutely. I could see Malcolm Jenkins, Roman Harper, and Kenny Vaccaro all in the field at the same time because you play so much nickel. And like I said, Vaccaro, they're moving him all over the place. So they would like to see those 3 guys with this defense. Now, are they there next year? I mean, that's something we don't know yet. And it's a question we're probably going to be asking next offseason.
We'll see how this season plays out. Some of those newer faces, offseason acquisitions, Victor Butler at linebacker, Keenan Lewis at corner. How have they adjusted to life with the black and gold so far?
Well, Keenan Lewis, you know he loves where he is because he's from New Orleans and Saints are like his dream team. You go look at his Twitter avatar, and he's with Tom Benson like arm in arm, so they're best buddies already. He's someone they're going to come in, no matter where he's playing right now. He's played with 1s, he's played with the 2s so far. He's going to be a starter in my eyes, and that's an upgrade at cornerback. And then they're going to try to see what they can do with Jabari Greer and Patrick Robinson. Now, Victor Butler, you figure he's going to come in and win the job. To me, I think it's still his job to lose at that outside linebacker spot. Played in Dallas behind DeMarcus Ware and Anthony Spencer, but still, the Saints like what they might see from Martez Wilson, Will Smith, Junior Gillette, and so it's going to be still a battle. To me, I think he's one of the front runners, but he's got to win the job as far as that outside linebacker role because they've got some familiar faces there.
Plenty of options for Rob Ryan. And finally, as the team continues to adjust to that 3-4 defensive scheme, Larry, what are some of the biggest question marks moving forward and some concerns?
I think there are a lot of question marks. I mentioned outside linebacker. I think both spots, there's a question mark there. Defensive end in that 3-4 scheme. Other than Cam Jordan, who fits in there? Right now you've been seeing Tom Johnson at that nose tackle spot. Maybe Akeem Hicks plays there. Maybe he moves to defensive end. Put in Broderick Buntley. Put in John Jenkins, a draft pick. I think there's tons of questions there. Secondary-wise, who plays nickel cornerback? Who are your starting cornerbacks? Keenan Lewis, Patrick Robinson, Jabari Greer. And at safety, how do you fit in all those safeties at once? Does Vaccaro come in and step in? Because you got to think about this. Roman Harper took a pay cut. Malcolm Jenkins is entering the final year of his contract. Kenny Vaccaro is probably going to replace one of those guys next year. But for this year, how do you fit them all in? So lots of questions. And to me, if you have questions, they're probably concerns. So it's we still got a lot to see from the Saints defense this offseason.
A long way to go indeed. Larry Holder of the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com, thank you for your time.